Hello everybody. In this video we will try to discuss some more interesting things about Ashwini Nakshatra. So if you observe the planetary ruler of Ashwini Nakshatra, it is Ketu. So why Ketu basically? See, Ketu is related to all types of beginnings. So it is related to initiatory impulse, right? Ketu represents all types of beginnings. Even if you see the zodiac system, if you divide the nakshatra system, there are 27 nakshatras, right? If you take first 9 as one set, another 9 as another set, a third set with remaining 9. If you see the first nakshatra is always, it always starts with Ketu nakshatra only, Ashwini, right, in the first set, and then Magha in the second set, and Mula in the third set. So Ashwini, basically the Ketu energy, the Ketu is always, it is always related to all types of beginnings. So among the planet, Ketu is the only one which represents the power of the past, which can be utilized to heal the person in the present. The power of the past is utilized to heal the person in the present. So that healing capacity is always present in Ketu. That's why you may be surprised when a person has Ketu in the 10th house, he can be very good at service. Especially Virgo, the sign Virgo is also the sign of service. When a person has Ketu and Virgo, in the 10th house or in the 6th house, he can provide a very good service. He likes to provide service. By default, he can provide service, you can say. So Ketu is basically service, the healing. It remembers the power of the past and try to heal the person in the present. So Ketu is very much famous for rejuvenation and regeneration, right? The rejuvenation and regeneration capacity of Ketu is something like it can bring the dead back to life. Ketu has such kind of energy. So Ketu is related to healing. Ketu is related to beginning. Ketu can bring the dead back to life. This kind of energy is present in Ketu. So this nakshatra ruling deity, Ashwini Kumaras, they also have this capacity. So Ketu is something like it can bring something from nothing, right? That means it can bring the dead back to life. Something from nothing. Because before Ashwini there was nothing, and Ashwini is the first nakshatra. It started everything. So the creativity of this nakshatra corresponds to Ketu's primordial creative potential. If you observe, Ketu has so much of creative potential, right? So the will aspect, if you observe the nature has some will, right? That willpower is also Ketu's energy only. So when you observe the Ketu's energies, when you really know the energy of Ketu, then you can understand, why this nakshatra lord is the planetary ruler here for Ashwini is Ketu. Ketu represents beginnings of any kind. Ketu represents the regeneration. It has the power to bring the dead back to life. Ketu is the only planet that can remember the past, and at the same time, that power of the past can be utilized to heal the person in the present. So Ketu has a lot of creativity as well, right? That's where the sign of Leo, which is the creative power, it is also starting with Ketu's nakshatra, that is Magha, right? Ketu has such research capabilities also. That's why in the sign of Sagittarius, the first nakshatra, that is Mula, is related to Ketu, because Mula has lot of research capacity, the researching abilities, the creative power. That's why Mula is also related to Ketu. Ketu is mastery, basically, creative mastery, you can say. So the creative potential of the nature, the will aspect of the nature, can be represented by using Ketu. Just by using Ketu, you can represent all these things: the initiatory, the beginning everything, rejuvenation and regeneration, right? So that is Ketu. That's why Ketu is the planetary ruler here. See, it has a lot of creative power, but however, this creative force can sometimes be so strong and overwhelming that it becomes difficult to control or channel. Because if you observe, the Ketu is somewhere, it represents the unlimitedness, because it has no direction, right? It is headless. So the kind of that's why you observe Ketu in the 10th house. People get multiple jobs sometimes, infinite jobs sometimes. They have the capacity, they can have that kind of capacity. Even though they have detachment to the work, but they can get multiple jobs. That is also there. Because Ketu is overwhelming, is so strong. So, as planetary ruler here is Ketu, so the creative force of this nakshatra is sometimes unlimited. So this is where things go wrong with this nakshatra, basically. See, if you observe, its downfall usually come through attempting close to impossible feats without proper consideration. As the creative force is infinite, they may tend to try impossible things also. However, when it succeeds, it gets the pioneer label, of course. It becomes unique, right? Because it's not a simple thing to try something impossible and make it possible. And getting success in that is really the greatest thing, the unique thing. So this nakshatra has a strong faith in magic, and anything is possible is always associated with this nakshatra, because Ketu is like that, right? So Ashwini's connection with Ketu is really, it's very much justified, with the behavior of Ketu and the kind of energy this nakshatra has. First one is, Ketu has that initiation power, and also rejuvenation and regeneration, getting the dead back to life and creating something from nothing. And it has the power to remember the past, and with the power of the past, it can manifest something in the present and heal the person in the present. So that's why if a person has Ketu, a very good Ketu, even though they get a lot of problems, they can heal themselves over the period of time, and they can come back, they can become super successful. And the creative power of Ketu is infinite. That's where the whole energy of Ketu is very much similar to Ashwini, and the planetary ruler for Ashwini is Ketu, basically. And if you observe another connection of this nakshatra, Ashwini is basically in the sign of Aries, and Aries is ruled by Mars. Even more, Mars rules Scorpio also, but Aries is a Mula Trikona house of Mars. So there is a connection of Mars to this nakshatra, right? Being the planetary ruler of the sign Aries, it is this particular Ashwini nakshatra has connection with Mars. So if you observe Mars planetary energy, it's a planet of energy, basically. So energy is a must for any kind of initiatory impulse, right? When there is nothing and you want to create something, how much energy you need? Lot, right? And Mars is the energy house, basically, right? So without energy there can be no movement. So a lot of energy is needed when there is an initial movement is required, right? So in a way it can be said that Mars is the engine which drives Ashwini as a car, you can say. If you imagine Ashwini as a car, Mars is the energy. And all the creative power, the initiation energy, and all the rejuvenation, regeneration, the healing power, the creative power, all these things are actually Ketu. That is, Ketu is Ashwini itself. Even you can actually separate Martian energy. You can see Martian energy and Ashwini's energy as two different entities, but you cannot see Ketu and Ashwini as two different entities. Ketu and Ashwini are same, basically, right? So this nakshatra also has a close relationship with Sun, because Sun exalts in this particular nakshatra. Sun reaches maximum exaltation in this nakshatra, basically. Even in numerology, Sun is related to the number 1, and since this is the first nakshatra, it is also related to number 1, and this nakshatra has an independent spirit in much the same way as Sun. Sun is a kind of, it's very much independent, right? Because it doesn't need anybody, because it itself has lot of energy, a power associated with it, right? Sun doesn't need anybody. It is very much independent, the independent spirit, right? So that's why Sun represents soul, right? Why soul can exist without anything also. And another important thing is, if you see a Sun's energy with reference to Earth, the energy of Sun changes. It's something like, with reference to Earth, if you observe, Sun always moves, right? The day and then night, right? So if you observe Sun with respect to Earth, Sun always moves, right? So early in the morning, Sun stays in the east, and then it comes to north, and then it goes to west, and after that we see complete darkness, right? Again in the morning, Sun rises in the east. So this process, so this nakshatra basically has an independent spirit, much the same way as Sun, and it has a lot of energy of movement, just like Sun. So Sun is continuously moving, right? And even in our Vedic literature, they write Sun rides a chariot of 7 horses, right? So 7 horses represent 7 days, and even the 2 Ashwini Kumaras, which are deities of this particular nakshatra, are the sons of Sun, right? So Sun, Ketu and Mars express themselves strongly when placed in Ashwini. When you see Sun in Ashwini or Ketu in Ashwini, Mars in Ashwini, they can express most of their qualities, because Ashwini energy is very much in accordance with these planets. So when Sun is placed in Ashwini, it can express most of its qualities completely. Even Ketu, when is in Ashwini, the pattern of Ketu and the pattern of Ashwini are very much same. 99% they are same. So Ketu can express completely its abilities, the abilities that we talked about. Ketu's abilities are regeneration and rejuvenation, getting the dead back from led back to life. And also Ketu's energy, Ketu has a lot of creative power, right? Ketu's creative power. And also you can see Ketu has a lot of initiation power. And you can also observe Ketu is very much famous in serving the people, right? Its creative potential, its healing capacity, its ability to remember the past and serve or heal in the present. all these Ketu's capabilities come out 99% when Ketu is placed in Ashwini Nakshatra. And Mars also. Mars also can express its abilities, right? Mars is some energy house. So you can see when Mars is in Ashwini, it represents so much of energy for the person, right? So the person can be continuously restless. Even if he is restless, he can get energy every time. He can pump up the energy all the time. So conjunction of Sun or Ketu, Sun or Mars, Mars or Ketu carry energy similar to Ashwini basically, because Sun, Ketu, Mars, Ashwini all are a bit similar energy patterns, right? And Ketu is basically, it has highest uh, energy correlation with Ashwini Nakshatra, you can say. So thanks for watching this video. In our next video, we'll talk more interesting things about Ashwini. Thank you.